අශෝක් ස්ටීවන් පූජකතුමනි Right to Life සංවිධානයේ ෆිලිප් දිසානායක මහතා ප්‍රමුඛ මූලාසනයේ සිටින මහත්මයාණනි වගේම බ්‍රිටෝ ප්‍රනාන්දු මැතිතුමනි සම්භාවනීය අමුත්තනි මිත්‍රවරුනි අද රාජ්‍ය නොවන සංවිධාන එකමුතුව විසින් සංවිධානය කරන ලද මෙම ඉතාමත්ම කාලෝචිත වැදගත් සම්මන්ත්‍රණයට මටත් ආරාධනා කිරීම ගැනත් වචන කීපයක් කතා කරන්න ලැබීම ගැනත් මම ඉතාමත්ම සතුටු වෙනවා. කෙසේ වෙතත් මම හිතන්නේ මේ ස්ථානයේ විවිධ භාෂා කතා කරන විවිධ අය සිටින නිසා මගේ කතාව ඉංග්‍රීසියෙන් කරන්නට මම ඔබතුමන්ලගේ මේ අවස්ථාවේදී ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank the Right for Life Human Rights Center for inviting me to join this important event this afternoon. The work that you have done collectively, bringing together a network of, I believe, more than 20 civil society organizations and activists against torture, which is a subject which is still being talked about, unfortunately, after all these years, is indeed very remarkable. On behalf of my ministry and on behalf of the government, I express my appreciation to you for the dedication and commitment which you have carried out this work in producing this alternative report, which was just handed over to me, and I look forward to studying some of the recommendations, and I even look forward even more to implementing some of these recommendations as early as possible. As you know, in fact, when I came, Sudarshana was talking about the recent past. When we campaigned for the presidential election in 2015, we did so with your support. In fact, I would say some of the key architects of that change, the unexpected change for most people, but we were expecting it for quite some time. Many of the key architects of that change are here today. What we achieved, we could not have achieved without your dedication, without your commitment, and without your sense of sacrifice and your willingness to take risks. You made sacrifices because of your belief, because of your commitment to do what is right, not just for the present, not merely for political expediency, but for the sake of future generations. This report you launched today is a manifestation of that same sense of commitment to make your country better for everyone, to uphold the fact that every person has individual inherent dignity and the right to have that dignity respected and protected. In fact, your work empowers us, especially when we are in government, and your work helps us in government to take that steps that are required to make the necessary administrative and legal reform and focus on the necessary technical capacity building and training requirements to eliminate this crime of torture. Take action where the crime is committed and provide assistance in recovery and redress of victims. As we all agree, torture is a crime, torture is a terrible crime. It is prohibited under all circumstances without exception. This is true in customary law under the UN Convention Against Torture and other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment, and other relevant conventions. Yet we do know that torture is practiced daily, not only by state actors, but by non-state entities as well, in several forms. Torture raises its ugly head in different manifestations in different parts of the country even today. Torture has no place in a civilized society, and torture cannot be justified in any situation or under any circumstances, whether it's national security, fight against terrorism, threat of armed conflict, or a public emergency. As a government that stands for good governance, rule of law, upholding and promoting and protecting human rights, we are committed to eliminate torture and take action where required. And this includes the need to create far greater awareness than which exists today at all levels of society, beginning from the school curricula. The government is committed to zero tolerance for all forms of torture and other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatments or punishment. Yet, this is not a battle the government, as was again mentioned earlier, can fight alone. We need your help. We value in this context the alternative report. However, we need your help to work at all levels of society to formulate clear strategies to ensure that in the long run, we create a humane society that does not tolerate or condone torture and other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment under any situation or circumstance. In fact, I would like to thank the National Human Rights Commission for organizing a very visible event that included a walk to mark the International Day in support of victims of torture earlier this year, in which the President himself participated. The President's participation indicated commitment at the highest level of government. However, we need your sustained and continuous support to carry out an island-wide awareness campaign which includes institutionalizing zero tolerance for all forms of culture, so that torture is shunned by society at all levels. And in fact, we had a meeting again earlier this year, not only with the Human Rights Commission, but also with the Police Commission, for them to come up with a plan so that maybe even to create officers in every district so that people have a forum, a place to go to if they have been subjected to torture of any kind. And I hope some of these ideas will take fruition in the not so distant future. In fact, we should be futuristic in our vision of eliminating torture and denouncing torture from society as an uncivilized practice. We have to get away from this archaic and primitive mindset that without torture, that it is impossible to get a confession. In fact, at a meeting when I was speaking to some police officers, one police officer looked genuinely confused when we said that torture, as a form of extracting a confession, must stop. I mean, with almost in a state of innocence, I would say, for a want of a better word, he turns around and says, "Sir, හැබැයි මුන්ට දෙකක් අනින්නේ නැතුව කට උත්තරයක් දෙන්නේ නැහනේ." I I mean, that is a primitive mindset which we have to get over if we really fancy ourselves as a civilized modern democracy. Allegations of torture, as you know, in the past, have arisen in our country in two specific contexts. First, with respect to investigations into ordinary crimes which are prosecuted under Sri Lankan criminal law, and secondly, in the context of counterterrorism and suppression of other aspects of organized crime. We all acknowledge the challenges involved in effectively investigating and successfully prosecuting offenses, particularly grave offenses such as terrorism and organized crime. In this regard, it is important that investigative techniques should shift from the possible use of torture as a means of obtaining confessions to the deployment and use of modern tools of investigation. This would require, first and foremost, a change of mindset among law enforcement officers, especially investigators. Secondly, this would require capacity building and understanding of techniques which should secure outcomes that advance the course of justice without being intrusive. Thirdly, exposure to the world of new techniques in integrated areas of investigation and suppression of grave offenses is also important. This would mean that continuous upgrading of knowledge as well as skills for the police, for the investigators, is imperative. During armed conflict, allegations often range from harms committed on suspects by armed forces and the police to extrajudicial killings. However, the end of conflict and the ensuing time of peace are also characterized by concerns over practices by law enforcement authorities that have similar effects on the civilian population. Therefore, peacetime practices which violate the dignity of human beings and their right to life are of equal concern. We are seized by these concerns and we do not at any time turn a blind eye. We are determined to deal with these issues. In Sri Lanka's context, especially after 2009, most allegations pertain to police practices, and it is important that these concerns are addressed as expeditiously as possible. This requires, amongst others, the introduction of legal safeguards, including the right of a suspect to access a lawyer upon arrest. The government is firm in its commitment to eradicate torture and other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment and uphold relevant international legal standards. It is a manifestation of this commitment that the government made a declaration under Article 22 of the Convention Against Torture in August this year, recognized the competence of the United Nations Committee Against Torture to receive individual complaints. Once again, I reiterate the government's commitment to eliminate torture and would like to conclude my remarks by seeking your sustained and continued support to address issues and concerns in this regard in a comprehensive manner with clear objectives, targets and timelines. අවසාන වශයෙන් මම තව එක දෙයක් කියලා අවසන් කරනවා. ඊයේ කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයේදී අපි ත්‍රස්තවාදී prevention of terrorism ත්‍රස්තවාදී වැළැක්වීමේ පනත වෙනුවට රජය ගෙනීමට බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන නව පනතේ සාකච්ඡාමය පිටපතක් කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයට යොමු කරා. එම සාකච්ඡාමය පිටපතත් එක්කම විදේශ අමාත්‍යාංශය හැටියට අපි ඒ සඳහා යොමු කර සංශෝධනත් අපි ඉදිරිපත් කරා. ඒ අනුව එම නව පනතත් එම සංශෝධනත් පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ ඒ කාරක සභාවටත් ඒ වගේම තමුන්නාන්සලාගේ සාකච්ඡාවටත් භාජනය කරන්න අපි තීන්දුව කරලා තියෙනවා. අනේ නිසා විශේෂයෙන් මෙතන රාජ්‍යන වන සංවිධාන විශේෂයෙන් මේ ප්‍රශ්නය සම්බන්ධයෙන්. දීර්ඝ කාලයක් කතා කරපු සටන් කරපු නායකයන් ඉන්න නිසා මම තමුන්නාන්සලාගෙනුත් ඉල්ලනවා මේ අපේ නව පනත සාර්ථක පනතක් බවට පත් කරගන්නට නව පනත ජාත්‍යන්තර වශයෙන් තියෙන හොඳම ඒ නීති රීති එකතු කරගත් පනතක් බවට පත් කරගන්න. We want a new act which will be in line with international best practices. අනේ නිසා තමුන්නාන්සලාගේ ඒ අදහස් සංශෝධනත් ඉදිරියේදී මේ ආකාරයටම අපිට ලබා දෙන්නේ කියලා ඉල්ලා සිටිමින් යලි වතාවක් මෙම උත්සවයට මෙම වැදගත් සාකච්ඡාවට මටත් ආරාධනා කිරීම ගැන වචන කීපයක් කතා කිරීමට ලබා දීම ගැන මගේ ස්තුතිය පිරිනමමින් තමුන්නාන්සලා සියලු දෙනාටම සුබ පතමින් මගේ වචන ස්වල්පය අවසන් කරනවා ස්තුතියි.